Welcome back to the CMF Conspiracies podcast.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into a theory that's been uh, making the rounds on Reddit.
It's a popular one.
It's a popular one, yeah.
It is.
And that is the theory that Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory could potentially be related to the Test family from Johnny Test.
Yeah, it's really caught on with fans.
Yeah, it's a fun one. And we're going to be taking a look at some of the evidence for and against this theory.
Yep.
And it all kind of started with the Reddit username Reuvenwolf.
Yes.
So
Reuvenwolf.
Shout out to them for starting this whole discussion.
This is all thanks to Reuvenwolf.
Oh. So I guess like the first thing that you notice right off the bat is there's that undeniable visual similarity.
Yes, absolutely.
Between Dexter and the Test twins, Susan and Mary.
Absolutely. Yeah, you see that like fiery red hair and that, that kind of like gleam in their eye, that like scientific brilliance that you just can't teach.
Yeah, they've definitely got that like mad scientist look about it.
Exactly. Like they're up to something.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course, like, there is a genetic component to intelligence.
But it's not as simple as just getting a smart gene from your parents.
It's not that simple.
It's a complex thing.
Right.
Studies have shown that heritability, which is just like how much of a trait is due to your genes, is about 50% for intelligence.
Wow.
Which means...
So half and half.
50%. The other half is due to environmental factors like how you were raised, your education, and then also just like random chance.
Oh, wow. So it's nature and nurture.
It's nature and nurture, yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
It is.
So I guess like while it's tempting to just draw that straight line from Dexter's genius to the Test twins, we have to remember that real-world genetics doesn't always apply in the cartoon universe.
Right, exactly. Like we're talking about a world where animals can talk.
Yeah.
Kids just invent superpowers. The laws of physics are...
Right.
Shall we say, flexible.
A little bit flexible, yeah.
But even within that framework, there are certain patterns that fans have picked up on, especially when it comes to things like hair color.
Okay, so let's talk about that because that's where it gets really interesting.
It is.
So both Dexter and the Test twins have that very distinct red hair.
Yeah.
But their siblings, Dee, right, and Johnny, are blonde.
Yes.
Now, blonde hair is a recessive trait.
Yes.
Meaning you need two copies of that blonde gene to have blonde hair.
Exactly. And that's where we get to the concept of alleles. Okay. Alleles are just different versions of the same gene.
Okay.
So for hair color, you might inherit a blonde allele from one parent and a brown allele from the other.
Okay.
Since brown hair is dominant over blonde, you would end up with brown hair, but you would still carry that blonde allele.
Interesting.
Which you could then pass on to your kids.
Okay, so in both families, we have the redheaded mother and the blonde father.
Right.
And they have both redheaded and blonde children.
Yeah.
What are the odds of that happening in two separate families, just purely by chance?
That's the question that has some fans convinced that there's something more going on here.
Like it's more than just a coincidence.
Right. They're arguing that this unusual inheritance pattern is like a clue.
Like a little Easter egg.
It's like the creators are kind of like dropping these little genetic breadcrumbs for us to follow, even if it means bending the rules of real world genetics a little.
Right. Bending the rules a little bit.
Exactly.
But hair color isn't the only clue.
No.
Eye color also adds another layer to this mystery.
It does.
So Dexter's sister Dee has blue eyes.
Right.
Which means both of Dexter's parents must carry that recessive allele for blue eyes.
Exactly.
And then the entire Test family has blue eyes.
They do.
So could a descendant of Dexter carrying that blue eye gene have somehow influenced the prevalence of blue eyes in the Test family?
That's the theory. But, eye color inheritance is actually very complex.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there are multiple genes that contribute to eye color.
Okay.
And even two blue-eyed parents can have a brown-eyed child.
Wow.
Because of how those genes interact.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty complicated.
Genetics is complicated.
Genetics is complicated, yeah.
So while the prevalence of blue eyes in both families is interesting.
Intriguing.
It's not exactly conclusive It's not
necessarily a genetic link.
Right. It's more like another piece of the puzzle that could fit in multiple ways.
Like a piece of the puzzle that could go in a bunch of different places.
And that's what makes this whole theory so fun to explore, because we're dealing with this mix of real-world science, fictional liberties, and then just a healthy dose of speculation. It's like trying to solve a mystery where the clues are scattered across different dimensions.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And just when you think you've got it figured out, another piece of the puzzle emerges that throws your whole theory into question.
Right.
Like, for instance, Dexter's last name.
Ah, yes, the missing link.
The missing link.
In this whole saga.
Yeah, we need that.
Dexter's last name is never revealed.
Learn Dexter's last name.
In the series.
In the entire series.
Yeah, so it just leaves us to wonder.
Right.
Who did he end up marrying?
Yeah.
Who did he marry?
Could his offspring have taken a different last name, making it impossible to trace a direct lineage to the Tests?
Or maybe his last name is Test, and it's been hidden in plain sight all along.
Maybe. Who knows?
It could be. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more of this deep dive into the Dexter Test family connection theory.
Looking forward to it. So welcome back to our deep dive into this possible Dexter Test family connection.
Yeah, it's been really interesting so far.
Yeah, it has. Before we got down that rabbit hole of Dexter's missing last name, we were talking about eye color.
Yeah.
And how the genetics there are a lot more complicated than some fans might realize.
It's funny how these theories make you think about things you never really considered before.
Yeah.
Like, I always just accepted that blue eyes were recessive, but I never really understood the science behind it until now.
Yeah, that's the beauty of doing these deep dives.
Yeah.
They spark your curiosity and make you want to dig deeper into the hows and the whys of things.
Absolutely.
And speaking of digging deeper, there's another layer to this theory that goes beyond just physical traits.
You're talking about personality.
I am talking about personality.
Yeah, because
while there are definitely some visual similarities between Dexter and the Test twins, their personalities on the surface, at least, seem pretty different.
Yeah, they're very different.
Yeah.
Like, Dexter's kind
of like your classic introverted genius.
Right.
Like, brilliant, but socially awkward.
Yeah, happiest when he's
tinkering away in his lab.
Alone in his lab, yeah.
Yeah, by himself. The Test twins, on the other hand, they're much more outgoing. They're collaborative.
They're always dragging Johnny into their experiments.
Yeah.
Even involving their talking dog, Dookie.
Yeah. Always getting into trouble.
Yeah, they're always up to something. So
does that difference in social skills completely debunk the theory?
Good question.
Or is there a way to reconcile those contrasting personalities with this idea of a shared lineage?
Well, it's important to remember that personality is shaped by this, like, complex interplay of genes and environment.
Okay.
Even siblings raised in the same household can have vastly different personalities.
My sister and I are a perfect example of that.
There you go. But
you would think, wouldn't you, that there would be some shared quirks, tendencies if there was a genetic link?
Right, exactly.
And some fans argue that those quirks exist, just in a more subtle way.
All right, I'm listening.
Think about it. Both Dexter and the Test twins are incredibly intelligent.
Yes.
They're driven, and they're often obsessed with their inventions.
Very true.
They're all pushing the boundaries of science,
yeah,
albeit with varying degrees of chaos and mayhem.
A little more mayhem with the Test twins.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
And
they all love secrecy.
Oh, that's a good point.
Dexter has his hidden laboratory behind a bookshelf.
Yeah, a secret lab.
The Test twins have a secret lab in their basement.
In the basement.
It's almost like a
family
tradition of mad science passed down through generations.
It's a compelling argument, even if it relies on a little bit of speculation.
Sure.
But it does raise the question, if Dexter IS related to the Tests, how did his personality evolve to be so different from his hypothetical descendants?
Yeah. Maybe all those years alone in his lab made him
a little
eccentric.
A little eccentric.
Yeah, not a lot of opportunity to.
Right, not a lot of social interaction going on in there.
Develop social skills?
Not really, no.
Yeah.
Or maybe maybe fatherhood had a mellowing effect on him.
Okay.
Maybe raising a family forced him to come out of his shell and embrace those more collaborative, outgoing traits that we see in the test twins.
It's fun to imagine Dexter as a dad.
It is fun to imagine.
Maybe he even got some parenting advice.
Maybe.
From Professor Utonium, father of the Powerpuff Girls.
From the Powerpuff Girls.
Since they exist in the same...
Right, same universe.
Cartoon universe.
You're making me picture like a support group for cartoon dads.
Oh, that'd be a great show.
Like Professor Utonium Dexter? Mm-hmm. Maybe even Timmy Turner's dad thrown in for good measure?
Just to round things out.
Yeah.
But... we still have to address some pretty major holes in this theory.
Right. We can't ignore the elephant in the room.
Yeah, we can't just ignore the test mom's green eyes.
The test mom's green eyes.
That doesn't really fit with the blue eye inheritance pattern.
No.
That we were discussing earlier.
Right. And that's where the theory gets a little shaky.
Yeah.
Some fans try to explain this away by suggesting adoption or a step-parent situation. But that feels like a stretch to me.
Yeah, it does kind of complicate things.
It does.
Especially since the theory hinges so heavily on a direct genetic link between Dexter and the
direct link
Test family.
Yeah.
And then there's the issue of Dexter's
missing last name.
Missing last name.
Until we know who he married and what name his children took,
right,
it's impossible to definitively connect him to the tests.
Right.
Even if all the other pieces seem to fit.
Yeah, it's like we're missing that final piece of the puzzle.
Like the one that would either like complete the picture.
Yeah.
Or reveal that we've been putting the wrong pieces together all along.
Yeah, exactly. And that uncertainty is what makes these theories so much fun to debate.
I think so.
Yeah.
It forces us to think critically, weigh the evidence, and acknowledge the limitations of what we know.
So where does that leave us?
Right.
With the Dexter Test family connection?
Yeah, where do we land?
Is it plausible? Possible.
Is it possible?
Or just a fun thought experiment?
Is it just a fun fan-fueled vanity?
All right, so welcome back to the CMF Conspiracies podcast.
We've been on quite a journey with this Dexter Test family theory.
We have.
We've looked at the genetics, the personality traits, the mysterious missing last name.
All the clues.
All the clues, yeah.
It's amazing how, like, a simple question like, could Dexter be related to the Test family, can lead to this deep dive into science family dynamics.
It really makes you think, and the very fabric of cartoon universes.
Yeah, for sure. And we found some pretty compelling evidence along the way.
Yeah, we did.
Those striking visual similarities, the unusual inheritance patterns, the sheer love of science and secrecy.
Absolutely.
But of course, we also hit some roadblocks.
We did hit a few snags.
Like the test mom's green eyes.
Yeah.
And the fact that we still don't know Dexter's last name.
Right. The missing link.
So where do we land on this theory?
That's the million-dollar question.
Is it plausible?
Yeah. Is it possible?
Possible.
Or just a fun thought experiment?
I think it comes down to how much weight you give to the evidence.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it.
Both for and against.
You got to look at both sides.
The theory.
Right? Some fans might see those genetic breadcrumbs as like undeniable proof.
Yeah, like a smoking gun.
Of a connection. While others might say it's just coincidence.
Or just creative license on the part of the animators.
Exactly. And that's okay.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong answer.
There's no right or wrong answer. That's the beauty of these theories.
Yeah.
They spark debate. They make us think critically about the shows we love and those hidden connections that might exist.
Yeah.
Beneath the surface.
It's kind of like one of those Where's Waldo pictures.
Oh, I like that.
Sometimes you see it right away.
Right.
Sometimes you got to really search for it.
Yeah.
Maybe even use your imagination.
Fill in the gaps.
Fill in the gaps.
Exactly.
And even if you never find Waldo, or in this case, definitive proof of a Dexter Test connection.
Right.
The search itself can be pretty rewarding.
I think so.
Yeah.
It forces you to pay attention to the details.
Right.
To think outside the box. And to appreciate the artistry and the complexity of these seemingly simple cartoons.
Like, we've unlocked a whole new level of appreciation for Dexter's Laboratory and Johnny Test.
Right.
Like, they're not just separate shows, but potentially interconnected pieces of a larger cartoon universe.
That's what I love about fan theories.
Yeah.
They encourage us to engage with our favorite media in a more active and imaginative way.
Right.
We become co-creators of the stories we love.
That's a great way to put it.
And who knows, maybe one day, years from now, one of the creators will reveal that they did intentionally plant those clues.
Right.
That there is a secret connection.
It would be amazing.
Between Dexter and the Test family.
It would totally validate all those fans who...
All the fans who spend hours...
count 5.
Poring over episodes and analyzing those genetic patterns.
Yeah, piecing together the puzzle.
Putting it all together.
But until then, we just have to keep theorizing, keep debating.
Right.
And enjoy the ride.
Keep the conversation going.
That's all part of the fun of being a fan.
Absolutely.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the Dexter Test family connection.
It was a good one.
A huge thank you to Reuven Wolf on Reddit.
Yes, thank you, Reuven Wolf,
for sparking this fascinating discussion.
You got the ball rolling.
And to all our listeners, keep those theories coming. You never know what hidden secrets might be lurking in your favorite cartoons. Thanks for listening to the CMF Conspiracies podcast.
See you next time.
Thank you for joining CMF Conspiracies podcast. What do you think about the topic we covered today? Comment below with your thoughts on this subject. If you have a conspiracy you wish for us to deep dive into, please send your topic to our email address or leave it in the comments. Thank you again for watching. Like and subscribe for more content like this.